record. I hit record. Hey, I'm that bastard Obi, and I'm here with my douche chill co-host Ed. We are drinking from the garden hose, your favorite podcast about nothing. Get us wherever you get your podcast. Please give us 5 stars and leave a review. It really helps us out. And of course, visit our website, gardenhose.forcell.com. Join the conversation. Give us feedback. As a matter of fact, I'll have some feedback to discuss later today. Ed, how are you?
Obi, I'm all right. I'm doing all right. When you talk about a podcast about nothing, I noticed that nothing is going on with the video. You've been talking for like a month that you got this new upgrade, you got this new setup, and that you're going to start doing our video, and still nothing.
So I think that's great. That's one of the things I told you. I had a couple of things to talk about. I'm getting feedback from our listeners, and they are excited too. So I'm excited. I'm just about ready. But some other feedback that we're getting, and it leads into why I'm not doing the video this week, is that I've been told by multiple people on multiple occasions, it'd be cool if there was a third person every now and again. So I have the third person, Ed, but this person did not want to be on video, and definitely not our first video. So let me introduce to our audience my wife, Erica. And I know you've never actually met her. Here she is, kind of on screen. And yeah, so we have a guest co-host today who's neither douche chill or a bastard, my wife. You want to say hello, honey?
Yes, hello, honey.
Well, we certainly can't call her a bastard. That wouldn't be very appropriate. But Obi, so you love the feedback. You love the feedback, I can tell, because I remember a long time ago we got feedback that said we sucked when we prepared. So everyone needs to know that we did not prepare for a guest tonight. This is Obi just going rogue. So not only is he's that rogue bastard now, everyone just needs to know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame we're not on video because I can't wait to get on video because Ed can light up like, the sky on the 4th of July sometimes. And I don't know if he's been drinking or just a little unprepared with whatever he was prepared to talk about with my wife here. So yeah, I don't know where that's about.
Now, I can talk about what actually is probably better for what I have to talk about. It might be good to have a female's perspective.
Okay. And by the way, another Gen Xer I married within, the proper age group. I'm not one of these guys who could get myself a young, inappropriately aged partner. So I have an appropriately aged Gen Xer here.
Why don't you tell Ed the truth that I actually robbed the cradle? I was the one who robbed the cradle, Ed. I'm several years older than Ovi.
Several?
Well, a couple. And yeah, he was a young hot thing when I met him. I can't tell a lie. And so I swooped him up and, married him up, got some kids off of him, and now I'm bleeding him dry in his old age. So it's all good.
Wow. He was a hot thing. Is that what you just said? Or was it a sexy thing, or was it both?
No, he was a young hot thing. He was pretty attractive, and he's muscular, and he was, following around his favorite band and having a good time and working out back in those days. So yeah, it was a pretty young hot thing.
There you go, Ed.
There's so much to unpack with that, but I'm gonna just let it go. But what I really want to know, since we have your wife here.
Okay.
Miss Obi, you posted something on Facebook yesterday. Actually, you didn't post it. One of your friends posted this on Facebook yesterday or the day before, over the weekend. You were at an event with 4 or 5 other guys. And one of the things you guys all did that camera moves around you thing. You stood in the middle and moved. I noticed that. But here's the thing I noticed in that picture. There's like 5 or 6 guys. And one stood out because it was a game of not like the others. And it was it stood out. Okay. And here's why you stood out, all right? Because of that freaking mustache, man. So I gotta ask your wife, do you approve of that mustache?
So interesting that you asked me this, Ed. And for people who don't know, this is my first time ever meeting Ed. Anything other than a Facebook like or a birthday post, which he's always been really great. He always gives me a nice happy birthday shout out. So interesting thing is that every man in my family has facial hair. Everyone. And now my oldest son has a full beard and facial hair. I have brothers who are younger than me. They're twins. They're 50 at this point. They've always had facial hair. My father always had facial hair. So when Obi first debuted this mustache, it was actually, for years, it was a goatee. And then he was like, I want to grow a handlebar mustache. Now I thought that was ridiculous. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
there was, I don't want to, out him to the world, but there was mustache wax purchased, several tins of it that used to be littered around my bathroom counter. After a while, I used to say to him, I cannot kiss you with all that hair in your mouth. You gotta keep it trimmed. So Ed, this Obi that you see before you is the happy 1970s disco fever mustache that we ended with because he didn't want to look like his father. He was starting to age appropriately and thought he should be distinctive of his old man and decided to grow this mustache and keep it. So this is where we are. That's the backstory to the stash.
Obi, I noticed that you've cleaned the stash up though once your job search started.
Yeah, well, it needs to be taken care of because, I was hunting for a job. So, I get compliments on my stash all the time. I got complimented on this stash, yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, by quite the handsome young man, I should add.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing in that Facebook post, you really stood out. That's all I got to say.
He always stands out, Ed. It always stands out.
He does. He always has too. That's a fact. That is
a
fact. So, all right. So here's where we're going to go, Obi. We're going to go right to what my topic was because this was a topic of conversation in my house yesterday. So let me set it up for you. It's May. That means college semesters are ending, and we moved my oldest daughter home from college yesterday, which means we're going through that, and we've talked about this before. We're going through that transition once again, where we were a family of 3. I had a youngest daughter who thought she was the oldest daughter for the last 10 months. And that's all getting, that's getting all screwed up right now, right? So in a moment of bliss and quietness, we're having a conversation. And my older daughter brings up her friend who has recently started dating a man. Interesting, we should talk about age gap, older. So think about this. Sophomore in college dating a 23-year-old, graduated from college like a year ago. Like this guy's out of college. He's dating a sophomore in college. And he goes over to his girlfriend's house, my daughter's friend. And the first night he was there, first night he met the parents, he actually slept in the girl's bedroom, right? That's not where we'll talk about that. But then after that, the parents have decided that they're not comfortable with that arrangement and have said he cannot sleep in the room anymore. So the next time he was over, he was going to sleep on the couch, but he decided that the couch was he was going to sleep on the couch, but she said, no, I'll sleep on the couch. You sleep in my room. And then he decided it was too hot in his room, and he went downstairs and slept on the couch with her. And she thinks that she got through a loophole because they said that they couldn't sleep in the room together. So what thinks you about this, Obi?
Well, I don't think there was a loophole there.
Do you think the parents, what do you think about the parents in this case? We know what the girl and the 23-year-old guy are trying, right? But what about the parents?
I think that if you're going to let the young man sleep over, then let the young man sleep over. When I was in school, my college girlfriend, I went to visit her for Christmas, and we were the same age in that case, but I did share the room and was told to share the room. And it wasn't even like a really long drive or anything. So, and in my house, granted I have sons, I would allow the woman to sleep in his room if we allowed any visitors upstairs. That's a different situation. They could sleep together in the basement for sure. So I think the parents are a little prude, but I suspect you're going to agree with the parents.
Oh, but you've never been more wrong in your life. With this opinion. This opinion is coming from somebody who has 2 sons and was trying to get a piece when he was in college. And that's what you're basing your opinion on. You're unequivocally unqualified to render opinion. I want to hear what your wife thinks because you're stupid.
Oh, you're going to be disappointed.
I don't know that Ed would be disappointed because I come from a pretty strict background, and Obi had to sleep on the couch or with my brothers until we were officially married. I don't know if you recall that.
So he forgets that example.
Forgets that. Yeah, you had to sleep in a different room. We had a whole thing with my parents about it. So what he isn't playing up is the fact that we are lucky enough to live in a house that has two stories, right? And no one is allowed up to the second story at all. Guests stay either in the basement or on the first floor, right? Like that's where they stay. And it can be quite a long night. Sometimes, we'll have a get together or a party or whatever, have a long night. They still can't, even if it's a long night, they still can't sleep, not unless one of the bedrooms is empty. As you know, one of our sons doesn't officially live here, but still has a bedroom here. So unless there's an empty bedroom, you're not sleeping in my kid's room. He can come downstairs and often does hang out with his friends. And even his long-term girlfriend, who's been around for a very long time, and we know her parents. But yeah, no, nobody sleeps upstairs. So we would fall into the nobody sleeps upstairs category.
Right, but we wouldn't consider it a loophole for sure if you went down the stairs.
No, we wouldn't. But he already knows he can sleep in the basement. He could invite the entire football team over and stay in the basement. I don't care what happens in the basement, but you cannot.
Well, Obi might have a problem with his son sleeping with the entire football team.
Well, that would be his problem.
No, I wouldn't. But I usually don't think, I would think it'd be more of the entire, in his case, play crew. But I digress.
Yeah. So nobody sleeps upstairs. So I guess they could try to get around it by sleeping anywhere else in the house.
So Obi, I talked about a loophole, and that was the kid using a loophole. But if you're the parent, now think about it. Obviously you're Mr. Cool, and you let whatever happens as long as it's on the first or the basement floor of your house, anything goes. But here's the question I have for you. If you ask your kids to do something and they blatantly disregard it, you're going to be okay with that?
No, not they blatantly disregard it. Now, if it was Alex, let me tell you, he would have told you it was a loophole, and he would have told you he got away with the loophole because he didn't say he couldn't come downstairs and sleep on the couch with me. So first of all, I can tell you right now, if that was Alex, the fight wouldn't be worth it, because even though it may be a loophole, he'd be like, yes, I exploited a loophole. Now what? Change your rules for next time. That's how Alex would handle it. That's how he would shut me down, and I would probably not want to deal with the fight. But Sammy, in this situation,
Obi, I got to stop you there. Obi, I got to stop you real quick.
Okay.
I would have done the same thing. That's why my parents used to smack me, because that's deal with that situation. You just use physical violence and you smack the kid.
We don't use physical violence.
No, I understand. It's frowned.
Alex is bigger than me now.
It's frowned upon these days. I'm well aware of that. I'm just telling you how you deal with that situation. You smack the kid. That's all.
Well,
but it is frowned upon, apparently.
It's frowned upon. He's bigger than me now.
So we don't go smack for smack.
But Obi, you train with swords.
Yeah. I would have to take out one of those swords and smack him with the sword. You're probably right. And then you'd be like,
I mean, why else would you play with swords if you can't intimidate your kid as a result of playing with those swords? What do you play with swords for then?
So hopefully my house gets robbed one day and I get to decapitate somebody. Let's be honest. That's the dream.
You got to practice.
You got to practice. You're right. I should use the blunt ones on him. Alex!
I told you the story. My dad had a BB gun, right? So the dogs wouldn't poop in the yard.
Yeah.
But how do you know you're going to actually hit the dog? Well, he practiced by shooting me.
You should have shot. Yeah, right. You probably did something to your brother. His girlfriend yelled at you, and then he shot you.
I did something, and my dad backed me with the BB gun. See, this is how it all works.
How I discipline the boys at this big age.
Oh, yeah. How do you discipline the boys? I'd like to know too.
Yeah. So, and important to know, at a certain time, they got older, and a little pat on the butt wasn't going to work. I was, as you know, was pretty sickly as they were becoming teenagers. My kids were never at all outwardly upset at me or Obi or anything like that. They would just wanted to argue with each other about whatever they were. So I had to come up with a plan because I wasn't going to physically engage, but I had to correct. I think you'll like this plan. You know how you squirt the dogs with water, Ed?
Yeah. So you ran around your house spraying your kids with a spray bottle?
I did, Ed. I did. And I would take a water bottle, in the car, if they were arguing in the back of the car and Obi and I were driving. You know how you have the half-empty water bottles?
Yeah.
I would open those up and I would fling it at them. Let me tell you, nothing stops you like a cold splash of water, Ed.
So wait a second. We gotta unpack this a little bit. So you would unscrew the cap of the water bottle.
This is the episode we get canceled on right here. This is it.
So you would yep, I see. So she's doing it. And you unscrew the top, but you don't throw the bottle. You just shake the bottle so the water comes out, right?
That's what would happen, Ed. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the difference between you and clearly my parents. Now, water bottles were not around when I was a kid, but if they were, I can assure you, when they told the story to their friends about how they threw the water bottle at Ed, it would have been a full water bottle and the cap would have been on it and the bottle would have left their hand.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because the water will in fact do the trick almost 90% of the time. Water is shocking to people.
Maybe. I know it does the trick 100% of the time. A freaking bottle on the side of the head.
You would be surprised how a teenage boy squirms when being threatened by a water bottle by their mother while they're in the car.
Oh yeah,
you would be shocked.
I would
appalled even.
I am actually. I am.
Let me tell you, you would know the football team's not coming over. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would have been so disappointed by that too. I gotta write this down because this is going to be a great poll question.
Yes.
Would the water have worked on you?
And don't forget, the water's cold most times, then, right? Like
or piss warm because it's been in the hospital. I mean, it's never comfortable. But I'm going to tell you, you people who are going to be taking the poll, you're going to go, no, the water wouldn't work on me. Not at all. You're wrong.
No, they're actually going to choose that bastard because that's
it doesn't really matter, right? That bastard throwing water on his kids, right? That's good.
So Obi, if we go back to my question, so you got these parents, and so this is what I said to my daughter. I said, wait a second, these parents let this happen. They let the guy sleep in the bedroom, and then they change their mind and they're upset that there's friction here now. I'm of the opinion they started it. They should never have allowed it in the first place if that's not what they want. But what I learned, and I know these people, I'm actually going to maybe shoot them a text. They should throw water on their daughter, and that will stop it.
Oh my, yes. All they gotta do, yeah, sure. You guys can sleep in the bath on the couch together. Neither of you are allowed to sleep upstairs. And then when you drench the couch, they will never sleep on the couch together again.
They can do that ice bucket challenge with them.
Oh my goodness, soaking wet couch, freezing. Where are we gonna sleep? Nowhere. You're gonna not sleep tonight.
All right. See, that's different than a little splash of a water bottle, though. If you dump a bucket of ice water,
Eddie, you drop a full 11 ounces of water on somebody on the couch. They're not sleeping on that couch the rest of the night.
Yeah, I like it. All right, I'm gonna have to text them.
The wet clothes are uncomfortable for the entire ride, right? You're driving everywhere you're going, whether it's 2 hours or 10. The clothes will be wet and uncomfortable. So it's a punishment that keeps on giving visual effects. Exactly.
You're you don't realize the first time, ha. And and then you're like, can you turn the air conditioner off, Dad? No, I can't. It's good in here.
So if only you actually sprayed them with a garden hose.
They would have to drink it.
Yeah, I mean that would just be like a full circle moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but if the garden hose, you're probably outside. You're probably prepared for it. Water balloon fights, happen.
I don't know. Maybe if it's January, you're not prepared for it.
No, you're right. Of course, I have to go in the basement, turn on the water. The whole. Then you're having them just stand out there anyway. Why even bother putting water on, just leave them
Oh, and by the
outside.
time you go into the basement, your kid's going to steal your car, knowing that you're not going to come after him with your sword. So he's good to go.
But I have a question, Ed. I do have a question. I
Yeah.
don't have girls, so I want to ask you your perspective, and thank goodness you do. And by the way, I've seen both. I think I've seen both your daughters on various posts. They're gorgeous, beautiful. Your wife.
I had nothing to do with that.
I'm thinking they look just like your wife, and that she's stunning as well. Great genes. Wanting to mention that, but my question is, and I was a girl, and have lived.
Still are, honey.
I was, and I still am. Now I'm an old lady, but you have the old adage of what are you going to do different than you do in your dorm room than in the house, and that was always what people said to me. Like, what are they doing different one place rather than the other? So can you explain that a little bit to me, Adam? I'm curious.
Well, that's really simple. What happens in my house is my rule. What happens outside my house, I have no control over.
No control over. I wonder if your wife feels the same way. I think we want to hear from her someday.
You can control what you control in this world, right? I say that all the time. If it's out of your control, don't worry about it, right? But if it's in your control, you can do something about it. And so my house, my rules.
Your house, your rules. Got it. Okay, that's fair. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I think at the end of the day, I'm not, and I know you weren't accusing me of being an idiot. I know Obi does that from time to time, but
no, not at all.
No,
I fully recognize that what my daughter does outside the house could be completely against my rules, right? I fully recognize that. At college, I fully recognize she can come home whenever she wants. But I think it comes down to just a matter of respect and being able to live together and just respecting that. And so my daughter is allowed to drink in the house. I don't have a problem with that. I fully recognize she can drink outside the house and she can drink inside the house. She's not 21, but I don't have a problem with that. But the whole sex thing, I got a problem with that.
Well, that involves a guy. Guys can be weird and gross sometimes. And I can understand that. And I'm surrounded.
Guys, I know you have sons, so this doesn't apply to your sons, but it applies to every other guy, including your husband.
Right.
It's not that guys are gross. College age guys, there's no redeeming qualities to them whatsoever. Like I was one once. I know they only want to do one thing in this world.
Right.
They will spend all day long thinking about how they can get it.
Right.
That's the problem I have.
And just like in our house, you're talking about video games because that's what they want in our house is video games all the time, right?
I must be so old that I've missed the boat on what's actually happening with kids these days.
Got it. Thank you, Ed. Thank you for the perspective.
Yeah, but based on what I've heard, if a woman can get a man to be interested in her over video games, she's actually winning. She's winning. It's the video games that they got them by not even the proverbial balls, the real balls.
Obi, I would go as far to say if a female can get a man to be truly interested in her over a video game, not interested in her over a video game because of the real reason he's interested in her, then I would say she's onto something. But I will never believe that a man between the ages of 14 and 55. Maybe with Bill Belichick, maybe 73.
Oh my gosh. What a situation.
I have the other day, we got to talk about this because Obi alluded to this, but I had a really awkward conversation with my boss the other day, and it was about Bill Belichick. So my boss is 65 years old. And he starts going, what do you think's going on there? This is what he says to me. He goes, what do you think is going on there? And I was like puzzled because he's a guy and I'm a guy. I thought we both damn well knew what was going on there, but apparently I'm the only one that knows what's going on there. And it's my boss. So I had to bite my lip and go, I don't know, maybe she's smart.
Come on, Ed. And you're being kind. And I'm going to say this as a woman. It's a combination of two things. It's clearly a combination of two things. It's the dementia and the sex drive. And because I saw that interview, and I don't want to put anything on anybody. Relationships are complicated things, but it's kind of when my dad was kind of going downhill. I would say, Daddy, we're not going to talk about that right now. And that's what I felt when I was at that interview. I felt her going, Daddy, we're not going to talk about that. That's not appropriate. Now, I don't think that's sexy, but maybe there are other things that are. So with the dementia and the sexy, I think we get the Belichick. And that's my view. Go ahead, Opie. What do you think?
I've been mostly ignoring the whole Belichick thing. I'm just sad to see that he's not coaching the Jets.
The NYJ. Listen, he has dementia, but I think he could also not have dementia. And he's still going to go along with it. I mean, he's 73 years old. Have you seen the guy? Have you seen pictures when he was younger? Like, this is the best he's ever. It's not like he was like, crushing ass when he was 23 years old. He wasn't crushing ass. So the fact that he's got this girl now, I think I'm just, again, my boss says, what do you think's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Now, the question that people should ask is, what is going on with her? That's the question.
That's a good question. And I ask you, Ed, are the checks cashing?
Because he's not that rich. He's not that rich.
But he's rich enough.
I mean, she's pretty good looking. She could have set her sets higher and gotten a richer guy, I think. Like, Obi, how much do you think he's worth? Maybe 30, 40 million bucks, maybe?
And he was making like 10 million a year for a decade and a half. So if he wasn't a spender, and it's like, look at his wardrobe, he's not exactly a big spender.
So there's a rumor of why she shut down where they met, which means he's probably a big spender.
They met at the same massage bar that Watson didn't get sued at.
He's not working in a massage parlor, Obi.
Not anymore.
Well, she never was, by the way. See, all things I couldn't say of my boss.
Well, now he's going to listen to the podcast and know. You can say, I don't know your boss's name, Doug, but you need to do, I answered the Bill Belichick question for you clearly and without confusion on the podcast, and we can have a poll for our listeners to see if they think you were clear and concise in your answers.
Oh, that's another poll question. What's up with Belichick?
What's up with Belichick? The answer is that bastard, for sure.
Well, if I say, what's up with Belichick's girl, that bastard's the answer.
Yes. We can go with that. Okay. So is that what you had to bring for me today? Was the Belichick question?
I had the question about the girl sleeping in the room.
The girl sleeping in the room. And then the boyfriend being told he can't sleep up there anymore? That sucks for him. The charm is that we suck. I'm Obi, that's Ted. This is our special guest, Erica. Catch us next time on Drinking from the Garden Hose.